Hi guys, welcome to Watch Hobbies channel. So today I've got for you the Rolex Yacht-Master 40. Okay, so a few basics on the watch. First of all, we have a 904L steel case and bracelet. That's what Rolex developed a few years ago. It's a like an alloy of steel which is brighter and supposedly harder than your average steel. I think the average steel you get in most watches is 316L. It does definitely appear brighter next to other watches. You know, and I do quite like the look of it, especially in this case because we've got the nice polished center links going on. Some people will love those, some people won't. I'll get into those shortly. On this model, this was actually like a reincarnation of the Yacht-Master 40 that wasn't known as the Yacht-Master 40 previously. So the previous model to this that ran for a few years, which starts with a 1/6 instead of a 116, that basically did have a platinum bezel just like you see here, but the whole bezel wasn't platinum. It was basically just the insert. So where we have the numbers here, that's classed as the insert. So that's what goes around the bezel. And then the actual outer bezel that you grip onto when you want to turn it, on the older model is steel, but on this model the entire thing is platinum. So it's a high grade platinum, you know, of course you're paying a lot of money for a watch, so that's what we expect. And it does add a little bit of heft to the watch, I'm sure, because platinum is very, very heavy, very dense metal. But that doesn't mean that this watch wears unbalanced. It's actually very nicely balanced on the wrist. For me personally anyway, at least, because I generally take about, I think I take about 2 links out of a Rolex usually to adjust to my 6.75 inch to 7 inch sort of wrist. And this watch just wears really, really well when I adjust it like that. So I've got nice balance. It's not like the older Sea Dwellers that I've experienced, sort of where it's top heavy and it's flopping around on your wrist and it just gets annoying over a day. This one does actually wear really, really nicely. It's quite a thin watch, so obviously it has similar looks to the Submariner minus the ceramic bezel these days, but it's thinner than a Sub. So first of all, you've got a thinner case back. So the actual overall profile of this watch is really, really beautiful. I think it looks great. You know, it's not a thick watch at all. It's a kind of diver look, dressy type of watch. It's not a diver's watch, obviously. It's 100 meters water resistant. That's not going to get you very far as a, you know, a diver type of thing, but it is a beautiful, beautiful watch in the way that it's designed, in my opinion. It is a bit, it seems underrated. It's one of these that you don't see that many of them around. You always tend to see them in the windows of the shops, and I always think that's a shame because really people are missing out. If you automatically go and buy a Rolex Submariner or something along those lines and you don't take into account, you know, one of these, then, you know, it's a shame because you could be missing out. You might realise that something like this is actually more suitable. I do like the Sub, don't get me wrong, but I much prefer the case of this watch because it reminds me of the older Submariners, and indeed, you know, it has its own look. The shape of the side of the case, you know, with this sort of curvy area here, is basically very similar to the Daytona, and I really like that. I've always liked the sort of tonneau shaped case of the Daytona. So again, an underrated watch, a bit like the Explorer 2 models, you know, where you tend to see those sort of hanging around. I do kind of understand why with the current models, but the older models I don't understand it. I always used to like the polar versions of the older one. And 40mm today is a nice sort of size for your watch. You know, it's not too large, it's not too small, it tends to fit most wrists. You've got the Easy Link clasp on here, so it has a nice quick extension. Now, I know you're going to see this and you're thinking, why has he still got the stickers on it? That's really odd. It's only because I actually bought this at a good price and a friend is actually going to buy it off me. Currently this is just before Basel 2017, so I don't know if they're going to do any things to update it. They are talking about adding, or the rumours should I say, are talking about adding ceramic bezels to these watches. As we've seen with the previous rose gold model from a couple of years ago. Now that rose gold model, don't get me wrong, it's a lovely watch, but it takes the Submariner case and then puts a rubber strap on it and then calls itself a Yacht-Master. and for me that's not a Yacht-Master. This is a Yacht-Master where it has a nice curvy sort of case. I think this would have looked great with the rose gold. I'm not so sure about the rubber band, but what I have seen is somebody fit a gold Daytona bracelet to the rose gold Yacht-Master case, and that looked fantastic, so maybe we'll see that this year. But I think if you take away the platinum bezel of this watch, you kind of take away the point of the watch. I think it should be really how it is, and although yes, I understand that maybe you could damage the bezel, I think its charm is the bezel. I mean, it's bead blasted, so it has a sort of bead blast look between the numerals on there, and then it's polished to the numerals and to the triangle at the top. So for me personally, I think that is what looks so good on this watch. I mean, you can see just all the light, the way it hits things. It just looks very unique. You still know it's a Rolex, but it's the only Rolex that looks anything like this. There's nothing else in the range that looks like this. So I do hope that this whole ceramic thing, and don't get me wrong, I have watches with ceramic bezels. You'll have seen my review on the GMT very recently, but I just think, you know, certain watches need to stay the same, and this one, I hope that they don't do the ceramic bezel thing, but maybe they will. I just can't see a black ceramic bezel looking particularly good on this, and if you stuck maybe a coloured ceramic bezel on it, say a blue one, you start to look more like other brands then, maybe like a Seamaster with a blue dial, blue bezel. So time will tell, but I think it looks great. Timekeeping wise, obviously we're -2+2 these days with the 3135 movement. The movement is the same as your other Rolex sports models in general, so the Submariner, Date, the Sea Dweller, those have that. The Deep Sea I think has the same movement. So tried and tested movement. It's from a long line of movements over the years that have just evolved into what it currently is, where it has the anti-magnetic features and things like that. You know, so you get really everything for your money that you would want. One thing that always bugged me about the previous model, so the 16622, was that it had the platinum dial, and that was fine, but I couldn't really read the time that well on the one that I had years ago. But moving away from that, it had green luminescence, so you'd come in from a bright day into your house and suddenly see the lume, and the green just looked old in my opinion. It didn't look modern in any way. When they brought this watch out, they changed the lume to the chromalite lume, which is like a blue colour, and of course with it being a blue dial, when it's not completely pitch black and you can still see the blue dial and the blue lume, I just think it looks really good. It really suits everything, just works, it gels together, you know, the design is consistent, and I just think that works really nicely. So we have a lovely size watch that's great for most wrists. It's nice and thin, it's got a unique look to it, it's 100 meters water resistant. Yes, we have polished center links, always a point of contention. Some people like them, some people don't. You'll know I've got them on my GMT. I'm going to put up with the fact that I know I'm going to get scratches, just little micro scratches that when I see it on a shiny sunny day, it's going to catch the light and it's going to look, you know, scratched up. But that's part and parcel of it, and it's the way you wear the watch over time. It's going to just show things, no matter what watch you've got. You know, it's going to show things, so you just have to decide whether that's for you. But I think the fact that this watch does look a little bit dressy, sporty, all at the same time, you know, I think that works absolutely fine. I think if it would have had a solid brushed bracelet on this, I don't think that would have looked particularly good. And I think if the bracelet was totally polished, then it looks a bit too much in your face, which is, like I say, what's nice about this watch, where it's just quite understated but still colourful. And I do think that when you see one of these watches on somebody's wrist, you know, as somebody that's into the hobby, you tend to think that they're more of a connoisseur and they made a proper decision rather than just bought any sports Rolex that they've seen advertised or whatever. You know, this is a watch that you would make a proper decision when you're buying it, and I think it's really nice when you do see one of these out in the wild, because you do tend to see today in 2017 so many just generic submariners and sea dwellers. Nothing wrong with that, but it's nice to be a little bit different now and again as well. That's just my opinion. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the thumbs up button as well if you like the video. It just takes 2 seconds to do that. Leave me a comment if you want to leave a comment, if you've got any opinions about this review, anything I've said that's annoyed you or anything you agree with. You know, it's I treat this channel as more of a discussion zone as well. I'll try and reply to comments, but you know, depending on my time available. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.